Hey everybody, Amit here. Happy New Year! The new year seems to be a natural time when people think about the year that's just gone past and, look ahead and reevaluate whether there are sort of any changes to make and their approaches. Now, I personally, I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions because, I don't see the point of waiting for an arbitrary date in order to change when you have the opportunity every day to change yourself for the better. So, you know, but the timing is kind of right, and regardless, I'd like to talk about setting SMART goals as an artist. So, SMART art goals. Now, what do I mean by SMART goals? Well, SMART is actually a system that's been around for a while, like 30 years or so. It's been used in corporate settings and project management, and it's a good way of breaking down your goals into a little bit more detail so you can actually determine how you're progressing. Okay, and SMART's an acronym. It actually stands for the 5 tests that you evaluate your goal against. And there's some differences based on, on the words that people use for SMART. There are some differences based on your research. You might find those, but basically the way I use them is like this. Stands for specific. What will a goal accomplish? How and why will it be accomplished? Right? M is measurable. How will you measure whether or not the goal has actually been reached? And you should provide one or at least 2 indicators that will actually give you that information. Okay. Achievable. Is the goal possible? Have others done it successfully? Do you have the necessary knowledge, skills, abilities, resources to accomplish the goal? Will meeting the goal challenge you without defeating you? Will you bite off more than you can chew? Knowing this, whether it's achievable, will give you some insight into the how actions that will get you to that point. R, relevant. What is the reason for the goal? What's the purpose? What's the benefit of accomplishing it? What's the result? If you don't know these things, why are you even doing it? Okay. T, time bound. What is the established completion date of the goal? Right? You need a completion date because the completion date will create a sense of urgency in you. So if you leave things open-ended, sure, you might have open-ended goals that are lofty, like I really want to become a great freelancer, a great artist. That's fine, but you're going to need to start breaking things down a little bit more. And so making things time-bound is a good way. So I think the best way to actually demonstrate how these work is with an example. So I basically just concocted a typical kind of New Year's resolutions artist statement that I've found on forums online, and people at different times come up with these things. And this one says, this year I will develop a kick-ass portfolio that will get me freelance jobs. I'm sure we've all either heard someone say this, write it, or thought it ourselves, or maybe it's a current goal that we have. So we've all kind of done this. Sounds really good, right? Or no. No. The intention is good. In the goal is a good intention, but it's still very open-ended, and it doesn't give you any information on how you'll achieve it. It doesn't give you any incentive. And in order to make it more a better goal, we can start to make it smart. So we do that by starting to ask the SMART questions and make the changes to our goal accordingly. So I will develop a kick-ass portfolio that will get me freelance jobs. S, is it specific? It's a little bit specific. You're making a portfolio, you want to get jobs. But in general, it's just a general statement about those 2 things. It actually doesn't say anything else. So, yeah, not really that specific. Is it measurable? Yeah, part of it for sure is. You'll know when you've made a folio, and you'll know when you get jobs, or at least I hope you do. But the goal, as stated, doesn't really help with measuring your progress towards it, and that's what measurable means as well. It's not just whether you've completed it, but how do you know that you're getting there? Because it would be good to know, right? Yeah. So, A, is it achievable? Well, in theory, for sure, you can create a kick-ass portfolio and it should get you freelance jobs. But again, very open, doesn't give you any insight. onto how you'll go about it. R, is it relevant, results focused? Well, sort of. The person who makes this goal generally makes under the correct assumption that having a portfolio or a kick-ass portfolio is the first step in order to get jobs. It is totally true. But there's very little to say how we'll actually get there. So it is a question of vagueness, generally. T, is it time-bound? Nope. Doesn't say anything about when you're going to do this. It's just going to magically happen, apparently. So let's start by making it specific and making it time-bound. So I've written this little piece up. It says, I will create a portfolio by finishing as many pieces as I can within the next 12 months, which I can show to potential clients and secure freelance jobs as a result. Okay, so it's a little bit better. It's a bit more specific, but it's still not good enough, I don't think. We can make it better. Let's put in another measurable indicator, right, and make it even more time-bound. Okay, I will finish one portfolio-ready piece a month for the next 12 months to build up a portfolio which I can send to potential clients in order to get freelance jobs. Okay, so that's better, right? That one portfolio-ready piece a month, that is our progress indicator, right? It's the way that'll keep me working month after month for the next 12 months in order to hit the goal. So, just the notion of thinking about your goals in a smart way and making them smart, you'll start to see other actions that you can take that will help you get there and help you break down your goal even further. Okay, so in our example, what kind of folio pieces do we need? How does one choose? I mean, there's details, assuming that you know these things, but if you don't, maybe this is where your own self-knowledge combined with the learning from what you've learned from others will come into play. It's really good to learn about what others have done before you, right? It's very, very good. But ultimately, the only one that can make choices for yourself and what is right for your life is you. Don't listen to anyone else, right? Don't leave the decision to someone else or think, oh, because they did it that way, that's the way I should do it. Sure, take it into account, but really know yourself and feel what is going to be right for you and do that. Right, so back to our goal and the portfolio pieces. Well, say you want to do more fantasy-based character illustrations. That's what you want to do for your job, right? Or your future jobs. So your goal might change a bit. I will finish at least 2 fantasy character illustration pieces a month for the next 12 months. By December 31st, 2016, I'll have a minimum of 10 finished pieces in my portfolio, which I'll send to potential clients in order to get freelance jobs. Right, so the reason I included a minimum number of pieces for the folio and a final deadline date is so that I know exactly what that means, what having a folio that I can send out means, and when by. So by December 31st, it's an arbitrary date. It's kind of stupid to do it on New Year's Eve, but I will have 10 finished pieces for my folio. So that's very clear. I know when I want to have achieved it on that date if I don't have 10 pieces. Okay. And that final date is actually very important because you need to add a bit of pressure to yourself and to hold yourself accountable, because no one else in life will make you accountable for anything if you don't, right? You have to take responsibility for your own path, your own actions. Right, so this is great, but is it done? Well, I mean, when I'm reading this, I kind of think, what if you don't have a folio yet? I mean, that's a huge unknown, right? What if you don't actually have an online folio? I mean, that's got to be made. So, that can either become, you can separate that out and make that a separate goal of creating a folio, or make it an intermediate step towards this one. And because it's quite important to this goal, folio is the main thing, really, one of the main things. We could just, add the sentence, let's set up an online portfolio into it. But that's just not smart, right? So I think you're going to get the idea. Let's make everything smart. So apply the test first to anything that is integral to your goal or intermediate to the goal, things that are unknown, apply the SMART test, and then maybe you'll start to learn a little bit more. Okay, so for the folio, I thought a reasonable thing was I will spend 1 week and a minimum of 15 hours researching portfolios in the last week of August of 2016. I'll use this information to launch my own portfolio website by September 30th, 2016. Okay, great. Now I know when and generally how and what time frame it's going to happen in. So we're done, right? Nope. What about the getting freelance jobs bit? It sounds great, but how the heck do you do that, right? Let's smarten up that goal. So I changed it too. I will send out my folio to at least 10 art directors / studios a week, which I will have researched in advance, and let them know I'm available for work until I get my first freelance commission. Done. That is severely smart. Test it yourself, right? Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it achievable? Is it relevant? Is it time-bound? Yes, I think it is for all of those. Okay, so let's pull it all together. This is what, your goal has now become. I will finish at least 2 fantasy character illustrations a month for the next year. I will spend 1 week and a minimum of 15 hours researching portfolios in August 2016 in order to launch my own portfolio website by September 30th, 2016. By December 2016, I will have at least 10 finished pieces in my portfolio, which I will send out to at least 10 companies and studios a week that I've researched, letting them know that I'm available for work until I secure my first commissions. Okay, it's mouthy, it's wordy. I've written it really badly, but it has all the information there. It's really something to strive towards now. And you can see how it really gives you a good idea of what's not only where you want to be, but the steps that you need to take in order to get there. You know it won't be easy. There's a lot of work ahead of you, but at least it's a bit more clear, a lot more clear. Okay, so the important thing about goals to also keep in mind, so that's the SMART goals done, but the important thing is this is just one way of slicing up a bigger task, right? As with anything, goals aren't actually the important thing. They're just pointers of focus. They're pointers that you aim towards to focus your actions and measure your progress by. So, goals without actions are simply fantasies that will never be achieved, right? And if you do actions without any clear goals, well, whatever the universe decides to dump on you and have happen to you and that you take part of, that will result. So it won't be focused. It'll just be kind of random, depending on your beliefs on destiny, free will, all that kind of stuff. But the important thing is for humans to feel fulfilled, right? You need to think, or at least believe, that you are taking actions towards your goals, because it's through action that we actually live life and we learn and we start to understand things and do things and achieve things. So, don't just let the goal, a beautifully crafted goal statement, frame it, put it in front of you, go, wow, that is an amazing goal, and then just sit on your ass for the next 12 months and do nothing. Do not do that. The action is the important thing. This is just a way of thinking about it. Okay, so the other last thing that I want to say quickly about goals is that they can and should change. Yeah, we can always have a big lofty dream. We can always have a dream and go steadfastly towards it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But you always have to be flexible to changing situations and knowledge, because you change. Right? The time changes, the environment changes, everything is always changing. It's the one constant of life, is change is always happening. So things may become apparent that weren't when you started on the path towards a goal. You may be flying incredibly strongly and steadfastly towards a goal and been doing it for a while, but you always have to keep evaluating honestly whether the goal's still relevant to you, whether it still applies. Has new knowledge come up that changes all this, right? So self-knowledge, understanding yourself, being aware of yourself, is actually the most important thing, because no one can tell you what is going to be right for you except you. So keep evaluating your goals and whether they're still right. Okay, so I think I don't want to go on for too long. I hope that, you know, this will get you prompted on creating your own smart art goals. And I'm going to actually put down a challenge. Yep, this is the challenge time. So not just me blabbing, this is you doing action. I want you to create your own SMART goals. It can be about art. It doesn't have to be about art. It can be about something else. But I want you to write out your own SMART goals. It can be more than one if you want, whatever. Leave a comment below. Okay? I want to hold you accountable to your SMART goal. Right? So, and maybe I can even help you if you have questions with, you know, goals for your year. What might be right? Put them down below, and I'll try and answer all of them. So I don't want to let, you know, you just keep doing whatever it is you're doing in a wishy-washy way. I don't want you to let yourself off the hook. So create your SMART goals, put them down in the comments below, and let's get to it. All right, keep arting, guys, and if you like the videos, please subscribe. Cheers. SMART is an acronym, and it stands for the 5 criteria tests. I wasn't very smart in setting up my lamp because it just came down. Okay, anyway, so the SMART system.